What means Simona Halep in the last 5 years in the world women tennis?
She means inspiration to the women's tour. I think that she is most probably the one that everybody wants to see her succeed, because she is emotionally, she's very engaged, and it's her strength. And certain days it can also be the weakness, and I think people around the world can relate to Simona Halep as a person, as a player, and also the style that she plays. She has to fight for every single point.
What do you think about her tennis after Simona and Darren Cahill stopped working together?
Well, is there a difference? I'm not sure. I mean, there could be a difference. It's very difficult to tell. I guess the difference is that she won the French Open last year, but and she hasn't won a Grand Slam since then. But at the same time, I think you go through changes in life. As a tennis player, you go through changes, and sometimes it can be a coach, sometimes it can be a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a wife, a child. It can be bad news as a parent, passing. There's so many changes in life that you have to be able to embrace. And I think for Simona, I think that her wanting to win comes from her. It doesn't come from Darren Cahill. And what she learned with Darren Cahill, she's going to know and use for the rest of her tennis career. So I don't think that if she wins or loses, it's because Darren Cahill is not there.
Do you think that she can defend her title in Roland Garros?
I think if there is a favorite on the women's side, which is difficult to say, it's Simona. Because with Simona, we know that the consistency is going to be there. We know that she, I assume, wants to win the French Open more than any other tournament, because she's grown up on clay. She's a clay court specialist. And she also knows that the other players are very... it's unknown. You have no idea how well Petra Kvitova is going to play, or how well Serena Williams is going to play, or how well Naomi Osaka. She's going to play well, but we don't know how she plays on clay court. So for Simona, it's tough, but we do know that she will play well herself.
Can we say that Simona is the queen of the clay now, or there is another queen now, let's say Kiki Bertens?
No, I don't think so. I think Simona has been the queen of clay for quite a few years. And I think people around the world, when you tell them that she has won only one Roland Garros, I think most people will say that you're lying. Because it seems to me that she has won Roland Garros maybe 2, maybe 3 times. Okay, the fact that she hasn't is more of a coincidence and an accident than not.
Simona is 27 now. Do you think that we've seen the best from her, or she can improve? She can win more Grand Slam titles?
No, I think she can improve, and I think that she will improve. I think that I think Roger Federer has been a very big inspiration for both the men and also the women, and not just the fact that he's playing until he's 38 years old this year, and he can still win Grand Slams. I think it's an inspiration to somebody like Simona Halep, because there are very clear changes in Federer's game. He has become way more aggressive with age. And I think for Simona, the way forward for her was always to become a little bit more aggressive. Maybe coming forwards just a little bit more. We're not talking about 50% of the time. We're talking about maybe 5% of the time. Dare to come to the net, dare to maybe play shorter points. Dare to take a risk here and maybe one risk over here. And I think she is going to evolve as a player over the next 3 or 4 years. So emotionally and tactically, she's going to get better and better. Physically, you never know, with injuries, of course.
Do you think that she can also win Grand Slam titles on another surface, not only on clay?
Well, it's harder for sure, because and it's harder not because Simona is not good enough, but it's harder because most women, I think, are better on hard courts, because they hit the ball really hard. It's easier to move on a hard court. They all know that if they play their best tennis, they can beat pretty much anyone in the world which is not the way it is on the men's side. But on the women's side, this is the way it is. And I think this makes it very difficult for Simona Halep's style of playing to win 7 matches in a row. But yes, she can. I mean, she should have won the Australian Open last year. And against Caroline Wozniacki. I mean, she was exhausted after the big matches she had. She can even win on grass, but yes, the biggest chance is, of course, at Roland Garros.
They played the Romanian anthem when Simona won Roland Garros last year. What do you think that Simona represents for Romanian sport or for Romania in general?
I think that, I mean, for me, she's putting Romania on the map. I think obviously Romania is a world famous country for many reasons. In my world, it's Nadia Comaneci is one reason, Ilie Nastase is another reason. But Simona Halep is different because she's, I think, more popular around the world. And the Romanian fans that come out to support Simona wherever she plays, it can be in California and anywhere else, it can be in the middle, in Asia, they always come and support, and that is putting Romania on the map, and it's showing the world what Romanian, is everybody like that from Romania? Because she's nice, she's emotional, she tries very hard, she loves to compete, she acknowledges the Romanian fans. Of course, Roger Federer has the same with the Swiss fans around the world, but we're talking about Roger Federer, who's the biggest maybe star in sports, and then we're talking about Simona Halep, and we're mentioning them in the same way in terms of the fan club they have around the world. So Romania right now is synonymous with Simona Halep.
What do you like most, and what do you don't like in her tennis?
Well, I like and dislike the same thing in a way. I really, really like the way she is on court when she's positive, and I think when she's not positive and she starts gesturing to her player box, and as a spectator you find that she's maybe even getting upset with them, but she's on the court. But so it's her weakness and her strength is the same thing. It's her emotional involvement and her passion for performing and doing her best, I think, is what pushes her over the line to be the best player in the world, and it's also what prevents her sometimes to win certain matches. So do I think she should change it? Yeah, maybe, but not really, because that's her, and that's the way she seems to be on the court, and that's the way she is off the court. She's very great to interview her. She's very involved, and she's very much in the present moment. So it's a great quality to have.
Romania lost 3-2 in the Fed Cup semi-final against France. Simona Halep said that she wanted Romania win this title for the first time in the history. What do you think about our chances to win this tournament maybe next year?
Well, I mean, obviously, when you have somebody like Simona in your team, and you can pretty much rely on her winning 2 matches, even though that's unfair to her, you have a chance. I think that the players over this year, next year and the year after, because of the Olympics next year in Tokyo, I think a lot of players are starting to get this feeling this year that I want to play for my country, I want to win an Olympic gold medal for my country. Of course, Fed Cup is in the same place as the Olympics for the women, Davis Cup for the men. So I think this year is a good year for players to talk about their emotions in terms of playing for the country. So you have a good chance, you have a great chance to win the Olympics with the help of Simona Halep in singles, and of course maybe she even will play doubles at the Olympics.
Simona Halep said that she's a difficult person. Would you like to try to be her coach?
Because she's a difficult person? No, I think when you're a tennis player and now an analyst, yeah, in a way it would be interesting to have her share her feelings on the court with me. It would be interesting for me to learn from her And I really think that coaches will learn more from the players than the players learn from the coaches. I think that you can't as a coach go in and say, okay, this is what you need to do to da 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 da. First you have to listen to the player and you have to understand their player. And this is what you think, this is how you feel. So I would love to have it be in the situation of where, please explain to me what kind of emotions you go through when you're playing big matches and when you want to win a match, what changes you feel like you need to make and so on. But I'm not a coach. I work for Eurosport. I love my role at Eurosport. I love commentating and I love tennis as a game in general.
Ilie Nastase was the first #1 in the history of ATP.
Yeah.
You were a young player back those days. What was your impression about him when you were a young player?
Well, he was a huge star in Sweden, of course. He was a huge star before he played Björn Borg because he was different from other players. He was different in the style and the gracefulness that he moved around the court. He was obviously different because of his behavior on the court. You can maybe say that Ilie Nastase was the first rebel of tennis. And after that, of course, Jimmy Connors followed. And then, of course, John McEnroe followed. Ilie was the first player to rebel against the organization which was professional tennis. We thank him today because professional tennis would not have been the same without rebellions like Ilie Nastase.
Ilie now is 72 and he will have in the summer his 5th wedding. Will you go to his wedding?
No, I'm not going to go to his wedding. Maybe I'll go to the next one.
What do you think about his performance?
Well, I mean, he's obviously when you watch him play tennis, you see how emotional he was on the court. We players ourselves would call him a little bit crazy on the court, and sometimes
a little bit nasty.
Well, nasty is the wrong word because it's because that's his nickname. But I don't think that. I think he was having fun, and he doesn't rest. You know, he's one of those human beings that's always in the present. He's always trying to make jokes, trying to have fun, and getting married for the 5th time. I think that's what happens to people that are emotional and they are in the present moment. And Ilie is still obviously looking and searching and evolving as a human being.
Björn Borg was married with a Romanian tennis player, Mariana Simionescu. Did you met them when they were together?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, of course I did. When I was very young and I had a chance to practice with Björn, especially around Davis Cup when I was 14, 15 years old. I played with him a few times. So we of course we know that Björn was there was a connection with Romania through Mariana.
Do you know any other sport, Romanian sportsman? You mentioned Nadia Comaneci. Besides Ilie Nastase and Simona Halep?
I do, but I don't want to really talk about you would leave somebody out. So I think that Nadia Comaneci was, it's too important to talk about other athletes because she did something that the rest of us as athletes never thought was possible, which is actually play the perfect match. And I think that when somebody does that as an athlete, you strive for perfection. And when you have it on paper that she did the perfect thing, we go, okay, well that means that I can improve, I can be perfect as well. So for me, she was the first athlete to show the rest of the sports world that you can be perfect.
Romania's biggest tragedy in football was a loss against Sweden in a 1994 World Cup quarter-final. Do you remember that match?
I remember our losses more than our wins. But yes, of course, football has this amazing way of being a tragedy. I've been to a couple of World Cups. I was in the World Cup in the USA when when Sweden became third. I saw a couple of games there. So again, football is, why is it the biggest sport in the world? I'm not really sure. I guess it is because for some people it's a tragedy.
Mats, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure.